Today we're going to learn how to use the Excel features of subtotal and pivot table to summarize an accounts receivable list. So you can see over here that I have an accounts receivable list of country, customer, invoice number, invoice amount, and other pertinent information. We're going to start with simple subtotals. So I'm going to click the Subtotals 1 tab. The first thing to do in order to do subtotals is to sort by the field that you want subtotals. So for example, if I wanted a subtotal by country, right now I would have a subtotal after every line. So in order to sort by country, I need to click any cell within column A, any country name. I don't want to click column A, or I don't want to select the entire list. I just want to click a cell in column A that ensures that everything stays together. Then on the Home tab, I'm going to go into the Editing group. I'm going to click Sort and Filter and sort A to Z. Notice that my list is now sorted by country. I can now insert my subtotals by clicking Data, the Data tab, and in the Outline group, I'm going to click Subtotal. So notice here, at each change in country, I can use several different functions. I can use sum, count, average, max, min, or other. I'm going to choose sum to get the total invoice amount. And notice I can add my subtotal to a lot of different fields. I'm going to choose the only numerical field, invoice amount, and then click OK. So notice I have the outlining tool on the left. If I click level 1, I just get the grand total. If I click the number 2, I get the totals by country. And if I click level 3, I get the entire detailed list. Let's see how we can do subtotals by country and then by customer. In order to do a complex sort, I have to go into the Data tab. So what I have to do is I have to click the Sort icon. So in the Data tab, in the Sort and Filter group, I'm going to click the Sort icon. And notice the first one that I'm going to sort by is country. And I'm going to sort A to Z. Then I'm going to add a level. And I'm going to choose to sort by customer ID. And that also in order A to Z. So I'm going to click OK. Now, in order to get subtotals by country and then by customer, I'm going to have to insert the subtotals 2 times. So first I'm going to click any cell within the list, and I'm going to click my subtotal. So making sure that I'm on the Data tab, I'm going to click Subtotal, and at each change in country, I'm going to use sum. And I'm going to add the sum once again to the only numerical column that I have, which is invoice amount, and click OK. Now here's the trick to get it within customer as well. I'm going to click subtotal once again. Now I'm going to choose at each change in customer ID, use the total sum, add the subtotal to invoice amount, but now I'm going to uncheck replace current subtotals. So making sure that the first subtotals stay, and I'm going to have a second round of subtotals. I'm going to click OK. It will take a moment. And notice I now have 4 levels of subtotals. In level 4, I have my entire data. In level 3, I have by country and by customer. In level 2, I have just my country totals. And in level 1, I have my grand total. Now let's move on to summarization using pivot tables. So I'm going to click the Pivot Table Folder tab, and there's nothing special that I need to do to prepare my list for the pivot table. I just need to click any cell within the list, making sure that there are no blank rows or blank columns in my data. And I'm going to click the Insert tab, and all the way on the left, Pivot Table. I have a Create Pivot Table wizard. Notice it selected the correct range. You need to have headers on your data. You'll see why, because they're going to be the field names. You can choose a new worksheet or put it on the existing worksheet. I'm going to choose a new worksheet, and we're not going to use the data model in this explanation, but the data model enables you to join several tables together. I'm going to click OK, and I now have a separate worksheet for my pivot table, and now all I have to do is drag pivot tables. So let's say that I wanted to summarize similar to what I did last time by country and customer and invoice amount. So I'm going to drag country into the row area. Notice what happens. I have all my countries as the row headers. I'm going to choose my customer ID and drag that into the column area. And then in my Sigma values area, I'm going to drag invoice amount. So see how easy it is to create a table, a pivot table with Excel. I'm going to click back on the pivot table sheet, and I'm now going to create another pivot table. I'm going to click Insert and then Pivot Table. And once again, I'm going to choose a new worksheet. This time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag invoice date into the row area. I'm going to drag country into the column area. And once again, the only numerical data, invoice amount, goes into the Sigma values area. Notice in my row area, I have years, I have quarters, and I have invoice date. I can now click the detail and get quarters, and within the quarters, get detail by months. If I want detail only by quarters or only by months, I can just drag the years field out of the row area, and notice now I only have quarters. And if I want to summarize it by month, I can drag the quarters out of the area. Let's try one more pivot table for practice. So I'm going to click back on the data sheet called Pivot Table. I'm going to click Insert and then Pivot Table. It has the correct range. I'm going to choose a new worksheet, and I'm going to click OK. And this time, I'm going to drag Disputed into the row area. I'm going to drag country into the column area. And numerical data is really the only applicable one for the Sigma values. So I'm going to drag invoice amount into the Sigma values area. I hope you see now how easy it is to make a pivot table. And don't be afraid to just drag fields in and out, and if it's not pleasing, just drag the field out again and drag another field in.